Curtis Blackwell, Director of College Advancement, Performance, and Camp Director at Michigan State University.
Mr. Blackwell, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Derek.
Oh, man, appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. Y'all just coming off the little silent period, I believe.
Dead period.
Dead period.
July 14th.
Okay. Kurt, I mean, obviously you and I have talked numerous times and done some things in the past together. I want to talk to you primarily about your position at Michigan State. A lot of people know that you're up there, you know, placement of, I guess, camp director placement and director of recruiting. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm working in that capacity, yes.
And I want you kind of explain to us what that means, what that entails. You know, because a lot of people hear that. You know, people ask me, and I'm like, man, he's running this, he's doing that, but I want you to clear it up exactly what you do at State.
My basic thing is trying to help Michigan State football recruit better through the relationships and the contacts and the experiences I've had leading up to me taking the job at Michigan State. So everything that I'm doing is all specifically directed at making sure that Michigan State can recruit better. And that's based upon the accelerated process that's going on in recruiting these days. So ensuring that Michigan State can stay in the loop with some of the top guys, with a high priority being on the city of Detroit, state of Michigan, and the Midwest.
And talk a little bit, how did this come about? I know you were the former director of the Sound Mind, Sound Body Camp, and you did a lot of things with your MaxX program, 7-on-7 travel football program. Again, how did that come about? How did this whole position with Michigan State, talk a little bit about that?
Coach Dantonio made it happen. He came and got me. He said, hey, Curtis, are you interested in doing this? And initially, I was surprised, caught off guard. Actually, I didn't even think Coach Dantonio liked me because we never really spoke at all. And after the whole process got to evolving, I got a chance to get to know him and the staff, and I saw that this was a once-in-a-lifetime type of opportunity. And so I really tried to seize it and take advantage of it and really make the most of this, you know, because it's not only big for me, but a guy coming from the city of Detroit, the East Side, played Little League football in PAL, PSL kid, coached football in PSL. I went to a historically black college, you know, so it's a lot of, it's a lot at stake because, you know, I represent a lot of people and I take a lot of pride in that. And I'm very, very happy to, you know, carry that banner, you know, in East Lansing. And, you know, and East Lansing is a great place. It has been good. And, you know, I'm just thankful that Coach Dantonio had the vision to say, like, hey, Curtis, you could do this here for the football program. And, you know, to go there and for things to turn out the way they did in terms of us winning the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl makes you feel like, man, this was this was God's, you know, this was preordained by God for me to be at Michigan State.
How was it received? I know, again, you did a great job with Sound Mind, Sound Body, with the MaxX program. Was it hard to leave that? Was it the transition? I mean, how was it received from the kids that you work with and the parents?
It was definitely a tough transition, but the most important thing is that, you know, you create something and it can continue to go on, you know. And so to think that, you know, last year they had a Sound Mind, Sound Body camp. Last year there was a MaxX program. So that's what it's all about, creating things that can last and be everlasting regardless of whether I'm here or not here, because that's the whole point of it. You know, the parents and the students, of course, you know, I miss those relationships, but still an opportunity because if they come to Michigan State, you know, hey, we can keep it going. So, you know, it's not over, it's to be continued, you know. So, and then I think, you know, also I can kind of, you know, plant a seed of hope in the young people's minds that, hey, you know, they see Coach Blackwell on two different levels. One, working on the grassroots capacity, helping them running camps at 7-on-7s, and now they see me at Michigan State, so it's something that they can aspire to be. Because me being the youngest black, you know, recruiting coordinator in the country is something that I wear with a badge of honor.
So, I know a lot of it, and I can say this personally, so you don't have to say it, I'm going to say it for you. I know a lot of the kids that you worked with in the past, they really look up to you. They value those friendships and relationships. Now when those kids that have come, that followed you in the past, and you have those relationships with, when they come to State and they see that you there and you can possibly, you know, help them get a scholarship, talk a little bit about how that makes you feel.
I mean, well, ultimately, if they come to Michigan State, then that'll make me feel excellent. So, you know, that's my hope. but it's a process, and you got to get recruited by the various schools that are interested. But it's nothing better to say like, hey, I was with your son from 7th grade all the way through college graduation, and that's something that's unique that I would love to be able to share one day with one of these guys. And that's my goal, that's my plan, is to be there for a kid from the 6th and 7th grade when they were in Little League to high school, because I worked at PAL, I worked at PSL, I worked at 707s and high school camps, and now at Michigan State. So I think that's going to be something that no one else in America can say they had that unique opportunity to experience all of those transitions with young people. And there's some young people that we're recruiting that I've been knowing all of their lives. Literally all of their lives. So for them to come to Michigan State, it could be one hell of a story. We could be at Pasadena, at the Rose Bowl, and I can say like, man, remember when we started? We really started from the bottom. Here we are, at Michigan State, at the pinnacle of college football.
Let me ask you this. For years, the city of Detroit, as far as recruiting, as far as say Michigan State or Michigan, from my understanding, it really wasn't prevalent. And you being there, I'm hearing that you're making a lot of waves in the city of Detroit. Do you feel that there's a responsibility by you being a Detroit native to kind of, I know it comes down to if a kid is talented and they fit your program, but again, you talk about programs in Texas and Florida, they recruit their base. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, ultimately, when we run the Big Ten Championship, Coach Dantonio had me sit down in his office and he looked at the board and he said, look at the board. All of the guys that we won the championship were guys from Detroit and Ohio. So if we're going to be successful, it's going to be because we are in our own backyard taking care of home first. So for me, that's the easiest thing for me to do. I know everybody in this area, been working with parents and coaches. Some of these guys I played with, and now their sons are the top players. So this is not like rocket science. It's a second nature to know that I'm recruiting guys that I've been familiar with my entire lives. And it's very, very important to send that statement that the best stays at home, because it's better for the city of Detroit, it's better for the state of Michigan, it's better for the Big Ten when you have homegrown talent playing in state. And honestly, I think that all the top players in the state of Michigan should stay at home and play. There's a place for everybody. Everyone can't go to every school, but there's a place for everyone. So I think that, it's better when your family and your friends and your community can grow up seeing you play in Little League, high school, and college. What's a better way to go out than to go out in front of your family and friends, the people who love you the most and who support you the most? So my job is definitely, like Jeezy say, to put on for my city. I got to put it on. I'm not even gonna hold them up. I got a bias to the D because this is where I'm from, man. The last thing I want to do is let a kid from this area not be recruited, not be exposed to Michigan State, and then you see that kid playing somewhere far away from here because he fell through the cracks. That cannot happen.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want to paint you in a corner here, but again, you come into a Michigan State, and you guys this past year, obviously Big Ten champions, Rose Bowl, the whole 9 yards, a lot of success. But you got, I'm not gonna call him Big Brother like Mike Hart said, but you got, let's call him the cousin in Ann Arbor. Talk a little bit about recruiting when you're going against Michigan, which has always, it's generally been the recruiting when it comes to Detroit or Michigan area, the powerhouse. How has that been? How do you look at that? Is that like a competition? Can you explain a little bit about how your philosophy when it comes to dealing with Ann Arbor and kids that maybe grew up on Michigan?
I think there's a place and a home for everybody, and I really don't worry about what everybody else is doing. I'm focused more or less on what we're doing in East Lansing. And so, those things take care of themselves on, that one day a year when we line up and play. And so, obviously the kids can see for themselves what's going on in East Lansing, and they can say like, hey, this is something I want to be a part of. If they have interest in other universities or other schools, wherever they might be, then that's fine. Because, we want guys who want to be a part of what we got going on. And, if you don't feel like that's a good fit, it's not suitable for you, then you need to explore other options. That's fine. But we're going to win with guys who really love the green and white, the guys who feel like East Lansing is the home, the guys who feel like they're Spartan Dogs, the guys who know what it's like to win a Big Ten championship, to know what it's like to go play in the Rose Bowl because they've seen it with their own 2 eyes this year. So it's very, very important for us to focus on what we're doing and less about what everybody else is doing, because it's something that everybody has that the competition doesn't. So at the end of the day, you're going to always find a different way to sell a person on another opportunity. However, you got to go to that place and say, like, do I fit here? Do I like the way they're running things? Is this a place that I can grow?
What makes y'all better than, say, the other team down the street?
The way we're developing our players, the family atmosphere. The proof is in the pudding. You saw what we did when we played a competition this year. I don't have to replay that. It's on the Big Ten Network right now. So at the end of the day, if you want to know what's different, go watch the football game. You know, the eye in the sky never lies. So if you want to see how we're developing our players, look at what we do on Saturdays. If you want to see how we treat our coaches and how our coaches feel, they've been together for 11 years, you know. So it's not something that has to be sold. It's something that people can see. And so I think that a lot of young people either see that when they get in that environment, or, you know, they're looking for something else. So and that's part of, you know, my job as a recruiting coordinator is not just to recruit you, just to keep it real with you and let you know, like, hey, this is what's up. This is what it is. You know, that's how we talk. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. You know, this is what it is. You know, we kick butt, we play defense, we smash mouth, we practice hard, and I'm not about to lie to you and tell you anything just to make you come here. I'm not going to pressure you to commit to Michigan State because of this and that. I'm going to let you know, like, we want you, and if you want us back, we're going to have a good fit.
I mean, I think one thing I did notice, that you're bringing a lot of younger kids up to campus. Talk a little bit about that. Not just high school kids, but I think you're going into, like, middle school and finding talent and inviting them up. That's something that I don't think Michigan State was doing in the past.
I think it's easy. The college itself is built for young people. It's a university, it's a place of higher learning. Our coaching staff is, you know, they've been together for 11 years, and they've done an excellent job of creating an atmosphere that's conducive for young people to foster and develop themselves into great people. So my job is just to get those guys from wherever they may be into that environment so that they can be nurtured and developed, and they can get a taste of it, they can get exposed to it as soon as possible, whether it's the first grade or the 12th grade. I don't care. I want to introduce you to what we got going on, because you don't know. My job is to stay at Michigan State for as long as I can. And so eventually the work and the seeds that have been planted are going to come to fruition one day down the line. So honestly, you know, as me having my sole job is just finding ways to get people on campus. Any opportunity I can, I'm trying to get you up to East Lansing and let you experience what's going on. So whether you're a top recruit or whether you're a guy who's just learning how the game is going to unfold because you're just now playing football, you're in the 6th or 7th grade, you know, if we got tickets to the game and we got an open practice, you're invited. It's an opportunity for you to be a part of what's going on up in East Lansing. And so that's my sole focus, is just building relationships, sort of being an ambassador to the community, because, you know, football is a great sport and it's a great opportunity, and it was great for me, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because football has been good to me. And so the best thing I can do is give that back to young people all across America, knowing that all of these young people that come up there won't play at Michigan State, but if they're inspired and they feel good because of the experience they had and they're motivated to graduate from high school or listen to their coaches and their parents, or even just to say, you know what, I'm going to work harder to have bigger goals and dreams in life, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. So
if little Derek Denham, 9th grader at wherever high, and he asked Curtis Blackwell for advice, you know, what does it take to be a recruit for Michigan State? What advice would you give him? Go to class, listen to your high school coaches, be a great person in the community at home, and also take the opportunity to get up to Michigan State to get to know us once you do all those things, because as soon as we get to know you, as soon as you come to get to know us, we're going to try to find out more about you as an individual. And we're looking for good people first. You know, football is going to be second. You know, the person you are is going to determine what kind of player you are on and off the field. So if you're a good person, you know, and I think that's something that's often overlooked and not talked about enough. And that's the reason why we even created Sound Mind, Sound Body, because it's so much more than just the athlete itself, you know. So we're looking for great people, you know, people who fit. You know, we're not just looking for players. We're looking for guys who are a part of, or who can be a part of what we're doing in East Lansing. And that's what makes it special. So if you're a guy that wants to be a, you know, recruit, then you need to do those things in the classroom and working hard, and then the recruiting part will take care of itself, you know. But it's those things that, you know, are you fast? Can you run a 40-yard dash?
Can you jump? Are you strong? You know, those things are going to be the things that's going to determine, you know, are you a guy that's going to get offered a scholarship, or are you a guy that we're going to have to continue to evaluate and get to know a lot better because you are not able to distinguish yourself from the pack based upon your skills and abilities that we are able to test through, you know, our camp setting.
So, seeing that you've been on both sides of the spectrum, from the Max X, had a lot of the top kids, I won't even just say in the city of Detroit, but in the country. And now that you're on the other side of the spectrum, things like videos, and I mean, there's so many different things that people talk about that help a kid in their recruiting process. Resumes, one-on-one training. What's your take on that now?
I mean, the biggest thing you got to do is you got to be a good player. So it starts at your high school. Where you at? You know, being able to play for your school. You know, and hopefully that is a body of work that, you know, presents itself very well for you. You know, your game film. Then secondly, you know, you got to work out. But I mean, you don't have to specialize in football. You can play basketball, baseball, run track, because overall, as long as you're putting in work and getting better, you know, you're going to continuously be evaluated. So there are guys that our football staff will go watch at basketball games just because that's the only opportunity we get to evaluate them. There's other guys who work out, you know, with a personal trainer, and they video record that, and we send that. Information is information at the end of the day. You're not going to turn down any information. If you are, you're a fool. So if somebody say like, hey, this is information on recruit, we got to look at it because we can't afford not to look at it. You know, it's too much of an accelerated process. And for Coach Dantonio to come and get me and say, hey, Curtis, we need you to come to Michigan State, is because there's so much information out here that we can't keep up. So we need somebody like you to help us keep up with all this information so that we can stay on top of things in terms of recruiting in in Michigan State. And so as a young person, I think, you know, do as much as you can and document everything you do. You know, have film, have have it recorded, you doing things, you know, documenting your grades, all the things that you can document so that you can have your own body of work that can show this is who you are and this is what you are. And at the end of the day, you got to go to camp. You know, and the most important camps to go to are camps where college coaches are present. You know, it's no other camp that's more important than the camp where a college coach is present. Because one, you're getting the coaching straight from the horse's mouth. Two, they're evaluating you and they're getting a chance to meet you. And secondly, you're getting to know them. You're getting to interview them. You're getting to see, do you like the way they coach? Do you like the way they instruct? Can you learn from that person? Do you like the way they communicate? Do you all relate well with each other? So all of that means is that you play your high school football season, you get some film, and all season you play whatever sport or you work out, you document everything, and then you get ready for summer camp and you go to whatever school you want to go to, you go to that summer camp and perform very well. You know what they're looking for. They're looking for you to perform as an offensive lineman. You find out what they're going to be asking you to do when you get to camp, and you do it well. And that's how it happens. You know, nothing else, nothing more. But if you're a kid and you want to go to that school, you don't go to that summer camp, then don't expect that school to want you back. So you got to go to the schools that you want and that want you, and that's how you really make it happen. You can't ask a girl to marry her if you never take her on a date, right? You got to go meet the family. So go meet the family, go meet the school, and you know, if you go out there for games, you go out there for camps and for practices, you should definitely go out there for camps because that is where the rubber meets the road. I mean, well, the first thing we do is we start off with staff meetings every day, and then after that, you know, we will go and have, you know, depending upon what time of year it is, if it's camp season, you know, we get right into camps and meetings, or if not, you know, we got evaluations where we watch film and we're logging film and making sure that we got all of that stuff squared away. And then we might have team meetings throughout the day where we meet with the players and the teams, and so I sit in on all the meetings with the team because it's very important for me to know what's going on so that I can, one, explain to people what's happening, and then two, part of my responsibilities is helping with the freshmen that are in the school at Michigan State, getting adjusted and keeping track of them. And then after that, you know, practice, you know, and so I'm out there at practice, watching practice, and sometimes we have guests on campus that are a part of that whole experience. So they're watching us go through every aspect of our program. And we have an open door policy, so you're able to basically experience everything as it's going. So if you're a recruit and you're there, you're sitting in on the team meetings, you're watching us lift weights, you're going to eat with the team, you're actually going to watch practice, and then afterwards, you know, we might actually watch the game film, the practice film, and have team meetings. And so those are, you know, all things that we do. But my days can fluctuate based upon what's going on because I travel with the team. And then also, you know, my priority is recruits. So it's also finding time throughout the day to make sure that the top players are coming to Michigan State to visit us. And then when they get to campus, what do they do? What do they see? Who do they meet with? You know, who is the person that actually takes them from point A to point B? So all those things matter. And so the majority of my time I'm trying to find a way to make that experience as unique as possible for that young person so that they can say like, man, this is a place for me. And I got to find a way to show Michigan State in its best light possible. You know, I want to make sure that I invite that young person up at the perfect time, on a perfect day, you know, for the best experience. So yeah, Sound Mind, Sound Body was a program that was started 10 years ago. And it was something that was intended to give an opportunity for young people to see the balance that they're needed to make it to the next level. Young people back in Detroit at the time were not going to college at, you know, big rates. I mean, we didn't have a lot of guys getting Division I offers, and so we wanted to do something about it. And so Sound Mind was our solution, and it evolved. And you know, me taking the job at Michigan State, you know, I was able to help, you know, successfully transition it over to, you know, another leadership, you know, and ensure that the camp maintained its influence in the community and the pipeline was there for young people. And so, you know, and then of course with the involvement of the sponsors like Adidas and getting the different college coaches involved, you know, it has staying power. And, you know, that's something that, you know, I'm very proud of because, you know, Detroit is definitely Detroit and it's always going to be dear and dear to my heart. But being able to say that, you know, you got the top program in the country going on in your hometown while you're able to leave and go take a job at Michigan State, you know, that's the biggest blessing for me and the community.
So seeing that you wasn't able to, you know, play a part in that this year and other people have taken the reins, how did you feel about that, man? Was that, you know, because that's your baby. You, like you said, you started it, you got it to where it's at now, and to see it's still thriving. And I think more importantly, what's impressed me, Curtis, about the camp, it's not just Michigan State. I mean, you see Urban Meyer from Ohio State, you see Brady Hope from Michigan, you see coaches from Western. I mean, you see coaches from everywhere, man. How does, you know, what's your thoughts on letting that go? I mean, and leaving that kind of, you know, to the wayside a little bit?
Well, it's just like training a child up, you know. If you do it right, you know, they'll go away from home and they'll be able to sustain themselves. So, you know, if we run a program the right way and we build relationships with people and the coaches and the media and all of the community sponsors, the program will continue to go on. And so, you know, I wasn't worried about it because I knew we had built it the right way. You know, it was built for success. It was built to be able to stand on its own legs. You know, it's like having a child, and if you didn't give your child anything to use, you would be afraid for them to leave and go out on their own because you feel like they wouldn't be able to survive. So I can say, hey man, you know, I got the right people running this camp. People are coming for the right reasons, not because of Curtis Blackwell, because of what Sound Mind Somebody does for the community. So me being in Michigan State did not make anyone not want to be a part of the program. And so it was definitely nerve-wracking to think that I want to leave, but it was also a proud moment to think like, hey man, you drop your daughter off to school and you know she got everything she needs to survive. And you look up and you see your daughter is doing big things in college. You said, man, I really have brought her up in the way in which she needs to be. And that's my goal as a dad with my daughter, and that's the goal that I had with Sound Mind, Sound Body. That, hey, I wouldn't have to micromanage Sound Mind, Sound Body for the rest of my life, but that, you know, I set something up that can sustain itself for the rest of its life.
Curtis, talk a little bit about, obviously, before you got to Michigan State, I'm sure you were familiar with Coach Dantonio from coming to the Sound Mind, Sound Body camps and things of that nature. But talk a little bit about your relationship now. Tell us how your impression of Mark Dantonio and his coaching style, or how he interacts with the kids. Give us a little insight on Coach Dantonio that you've been privy to, that we haven't.
Well, I mean, Coach Dantonio is a great person. And, you know, for me, you know, what I needed in my life to be surrounded with someone who could actually just give me wisdom and show me firsthand, like, this is how you be a leader. And so, you know, I'm very grateful to God that I was able to be placed in his presence and not only have the opportunity to work on the staff. Also, I feel as though Coach Dantonio is a straight shooter, and so, you know, he does exactly what he says he's going to do. And family is first, and he puts a priority on balance and understanding that if you're not able to maintain, you know, comfort in certain areas of your life, you won't be a great person in your work life. And so it's something that I didn't do a good job of before I got to Michigan State, you know, and being at Michigan State helps me become more stable and more grounded, because I'm able to see, like, this is what matters the most. And so I'm just very grateful that I got, the opportunity to serve on the staff, because Coach D, he didn't have to pick me, but he did, and to think that, I'm actually now being around people that are smarter than me and more seasoned than me is making me a better person. And they say if you want to be good in life, you got to surround yourself with good people and great people. And so, this guy is going to probably end up being one of the greatest coaches of all time and in college football at Michigan State. And to think that, he handpicked me, it makes me feel like, man, I'm doing something right in life, and I'm willing and down to listen to do whatever he asked me to do.
So let me ask you this, Curtin, this candid question. I know I've been around Coach D a couple times myself, and he looks stern and serious all the time. But then you see him, you guys bring my man in, I can't think of the rapper's name. Yeah. Then you see Coach Dantonio doing the dance and everything. Talk a little bit about that side of him, man, because people don't know that side of Coach Dantonio.
Yeah, he's a down-to-earth guy, and he's able to adapt to whatever the situation requires, and I think that's really has helped our players be successful, because they know the difference between business and the time to let go and kind of have a little bit of fun. And he keeps it I guess balanced, and so that the players are always at ease, and he likes us to stay fresh. So that's the reason why he lets us spend time with our family, and he lets the kids laugh and enjoy themselves. So Dantonio, Coach D, having us listen to Rich Homie Quan at the end of the game is no different than him, having us have prayer before, the night before the game, when we had chapel, the day of the game. So it's a balance, and I think that, that's something that young people need more of. And that's something that I think has been very, very successful for Coach Dantonio. And you look at where he come from. I mean, he worked under Coach Saban, he worked under Coach Mason, and he worked under Coach Tressel. And so those are some of the top coaches ever in the college game. And so I'm glad to say that I work with somebody like him, because now I add that to my experiences in life, and who knows where I will be 10 years from now based upon this interaction I'm having under his tutelage.
What's the goals now? I mean, Michigan State, you guys
national championship, get the top players from Detroit and Michigan to Michigan State. So hopefully, 3 years from now, we'll be doing an interview and you'll be like, all of the top guys from Detroit and Michigan came to Michigan State, and we got a national championship ring, and we still on and popping, and that's the goal. Nothing less than that, nothing less than that.